Hello again, everyone. My name is Arios, and happy Saturday! It is the weekend again. I'm so excited because this work week has just dragged on. It's been really long. Yes, I understand that there are other problems going on, but I'm just kind of pointing that out. So anyway, for this week, I went to the gym almost every single day, and I think I'm getting that workout high, like when I actually get to working out, and I can't wait to do it again. Even though I've been doing it for about a month now, and naturally I'm not going for like just big and bulky or anything like that, but at the same time it's not like, oh, I've been doing this for a month, I should start seeing some results. Not necessarily in like physically, but I have been seeing I can do more weight, I can run longer, which has been kind of cool. Although now that it's getting colder outside, I can't run outside as much because as soon as the outside air hits my lungs, I just like lose my lung capacity. And I even if it's like, you know, breathe through your nose instead of your mouth kind of thing, it's still just as soon as it hits me, like my whole body just gets cold real fast, and I hate that. And I hate that feeling because it makes it even harder for me to run and or jog and or walk or be outside for extended periods of time. But we're not in winter yet, so I should still be okay for a little while. But we'll see how that kind of goes. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank the developers of Toronos, who have been kind of following my gameplay videos throughout. I also want to thank them for the game because I did pay for it. I didn't get it for free, but I want to thank them because the game was a lot of fun. And this is probably the first game that I've played from demo to live, and I actually enjoyed it. I have not actually played a demo to live game other than Carpe, but that one is episodic, and that one's not even finished yet. The developers, I think, are working on another game, and they're working on releasing episode 2. It's supposed to be later this year, question mark, or early next year, but that is kind of the one thing, is that they're kind of slow at releasing a whole lot of information. But I also don't necessarily follow all of their community stuff, which that's my own fault. I probably need to do that more so I can keep track, because I do it for all the indie sites like Itch and Game Jolt, but I don't do that as much with like Steam or anything, and I should do that. I need to start getting involved in the indie community besides me just downloading the game, playing it. I'm like, for example, no, hang on. Which I do get involved in some of the games. Like, I do like to give my 2 cents if it's a demo, and whenever I leave my comment and if the developer replies, then I'll usually try and go back and forth with them. But I don't usually do anything beyond that, and it's something I would like to get better about. I know most developers have Reddits, and I do have a Reddit, but I don't get on there very much. I'm not really sure what to do with Reddit other than just to get on there and browse around. So that's something that I'll try and get better about in the next coming weeks. I also, if you hadn't noticed as well, I also chose 2 other outro songs this week, and I wanted to switch that around a little bit rather than keeping the same one, because that same one doesn't fit with every game. Even though with like slower and more somber like games, I usually use music from the game itself to kind of set the point, but I wanted to use other ones. So if you liked them, if you didn't like them, I'm always up for suggestions on anything else. Naturally, you know, I do like it to kind of fit kind of music that I enjoy. No offense to anyone else who doesn't like music that I enjoy, which I do like a little bit of everything, but that's rambling. That's beside the point. I also wanted to kind of take this opportunity to speak aloud, which this may or may not help me in the long run, but it's so I talked about before that I deal with like social anxiety, which I don't even know if it's qualified as social anxiety, to be perfectly honest. I know I don't have just like the purest form of anxiety, for lack of a better term, where it's just like like the panic attacks and everything like that. My type of anxiety is, when I say purest, I guess more like the all around. I really don't know. Specifically though, I deal with like socially talking with new people and overthinking things. And the overthinking things is probably one of the worst things about me, because I will always take a situation and I will progressively make it worse in my head than it actually is. And then I wind up getting down on myself with that. And I do have some medication for anti-anxiety, but it doesn't seem to prevent me from overthinking things, which I overthink a lot anyway, normally. So, and that's one of the reasons why whenever I program things, I do pretty well, because I'll think of 4 or 5 different ways to do the same thing. And that's really handy to have when you're programming. But when you're thinking about other people or relationships or anything like that, it's always, this person hasn't, I haven't talked to this person in a while. I'll send them a message. Oh, they didn't respond back. Oh, I guess they must be busy. They still haven't responded back. Well, it's fine. I guess they're just busy. They don't want to talk to me. Well, I'm always there when they need me, blah, blah, blah. And then it progresses off to the point, I guess they just don't like to talk to me anymore. That kind of thing, which that's oversimplification, because I go through a few more stages of trying to logic out the problem before I hit that point. But still, I do get to that point eventually, and I don't like it. But the social anxiety, the talking to new people, I realized it's more and more prominent when it's someone that I think I might like, not just in terms of male versus female, but like if they'd be a pretty cool friend kind of thing. I realized that I have some conversation skills, but I don't have really good conversation skills unless the conversation is started by someone else. Like, if it comes to meeting a new person, I'm always just like, oh yeah, I hope you're doing well. Da, da, da. Oh yeah, that's cool. But unless something is brought up where I can voice an opinion or I can relate to, I'm just really, really bad at keeping a conversation. Well, I guess it's not keeping, it's starting a conversation. Like, I don't know how to initiate a conversation very well. That the icebreaker stuff, like I know there's a lot of like icebreaker things that sites and things will recommend, where it's just like, God, just throw out some random question that has nothing to do with anything. But you also have to be good at flowing that into something else. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was bad at sales at Best Buy when I worked there, was that you were supposed to ask open-ended questions. You weren't supposed to ask yes or no questions, or questions that have a solid answer. So a question where it's like, how are you doing today versus how are you feeling today? And which I know that's essentially, I don't really know good stuff. Well, it's like when you ask somebody how's the weather, then they're just going to give a solid answer, versus when it's something like, oh, this weather this week has been insane. I can't believe how much rain we've been getting. And then the other person may or may not join in, depending on if they actually give a crap or not. And I think that's also another fear of mine, is that when I start the conversation, if there's no feedback, that it's like, to me, I instantaneously just go, rejection, they're not wanting to talk to me, kind of thing. And I know that's overthinking it. And then it's also, why do I care? I shouldn't care this much because I just started talking to them. But the other part of my mind is like, well, they seem interesting. Why can't I start a conversation with them, kind of thing? And it's something that I hate about myself, and it's something that I'm better at it than I used to be when it comes to talking to absolute strangers, but I still do not have any kind of mental courage to just walk up to some random person and just start talking to them. In some situations, if when I'm at the gym or something, and for example, there was a machine that was broken, and my brother and I it's not broken, it just makes a loud clank whenever you use it, even though it's not broken, I guess. And then we were there another day, and the machine was breaking, and the guy kept stopping And so my brother and I, we stopped and we started talking to him and kind of letting him know that, hey, it's happened. We're not really sure why. And I can do that because I had something to go off of. But if let's say I'm outside for a jog or a run or something, and somebody is jogging up to me at the same pace, and I turn and I'm like, hi. And they're like, hello. I have absolutely no idea where to go from there besides just like being like, oh, it's such a nice day for a run, oh, blah blah blah. Like I couldn't lead it to something that led to a long enough conversation that mattered. And I think that may be a skill that I'm lacking at the same time, or it may just be that I'm just so afraid of that rejection feeling that I just kind of close myself off from continuing the conversation even further. I don't know. It's probably one of the reasons why I keep my circle of friends kind of small, that kind of thing. I don't know. I think I'm just rambling too much about my own insecurities that I probably just need to work on, but it's hard whenever you don't really know what you're doing, kind of thing. I don't know. If you also have any of those kinds of insecurities or anything, leave a comment down below. We can try and talk about it. Maybe it'll help. Maybe we can both or all figure out an answer. I don't know, because I know I could definitely use somebody who has my kind of mindset to kind of help through that. But anyway, the indie games that I played this week were really fun. I finished the Toronto's game, which was awesome. So I'm super excited to find another long game to play, or find a new indie game. Oni just got an update. I'm trying to decide how I want to do that. If I want to do another just let's play of it, or if I want to try and stream it, which I don't know if I've got the full setup. But I may try on Monday, on Labor Day, since most people will be off on that day anyway. But Evil Within 2 comes out next month. I am so excited. I just got done watching one of the YouTubers that I like play through the entire game again, and I loved the game. It was mind-bending. It had really fun gameplay. It was a little iffy on the controls, but I loved the game beyond that. Then shortly after that, .hack sign GU it's Last Code, or I think that's what it's called, Last Coded, is being released, and I'm going to hopefully buy that for PC if they're releasing a PC version, because the only thing I've read definitively is console. But I want to do a full long let's play of that, because I loved that game. It's one of those ones that maybe want to do a completion run of it, but I never did, because after a certain point of grinding, I just get completely bored of those kinds of games. And theoretically, at the end of the year, there's supposed to be Abe's Exodus HD remaster later this year. There hasn't been an actual announcement from the developers, but their rumor was that if New and Tasty did well enough, that they were going to release Exodus, and if Exodus does well enough, they're going to re-release a new arc to the Oddworld games that never existed, depending on if Exodus does well. So I hope it does, because I really enjoyed playing through the Abe series, even though I didn't really do it that much on my channel. I did it on Twitch when I was first kind of doing that. But anyway, that's kind of where I am with games so far. I haven't seen any huge game announcements that really caught my eye. I really don't have that much interest in Destiny 3 or Destiny 2. I looked into it a little bit, and I mean, I like the style is like Borderlands, just with more abilities and powers and stuff. It's like an Overwatch meets Borderlands kind of thing, where you have the open world, you have the massive loot, but then you also have multiple types of abilities, because in Borderlands you really only have like one ability per person, or a attachment ability to an existing like your attack kind of thing. So I'm probably not going to play that. It just doesn't seem to catch my eye, and that's just my own personal preference. Not to say that I'm saying it's a bad game. It just doesn't catch my eye. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday vlog. I'm sorry I rambled for a little while. I was trying to get all my thoughts together, and I'm really bad about that, because I always backpedal to try and justify myself so it makes more sense about what I'm talking about. But anyway, if you have any suggestions on what we'd like to talk about next week, leave a comment down below. because we might talk about that next week. See ya!